Welcome back, Nick Lenz Movie Review, episode number 90. This is our reviewing the 20th James Bond film and the fourth and final film starring Pierce Brosnan and James Bond. 2002's Die Another Day, which I've seen a couple of reviews of this thing. Yeah, this particular film, I did see this film in theaters, believe it or not. Yes, I did, with my dad. The same year that various other pop movies came out the very same year this did, along with Star Wars Episode 2 Dark Clothes, which basically makes an exception to that particular film. Star Trek Nemesis, another film that got mixed reception. Let's see, we also have Lord of the Rings 2 Towers that came out the same year. Let's see, what else came out that particular year? Spider-Man 2. A lot of really big budget ones came out in 2002. This is one of those. Yep. This one has, you can see in the cover, you have Halle Berry playing Jinx. And here's the thing about this particular woman. We also have another woman named Rosamund Pike in here who plays Miranda Frost. And these two girls have had pretty successful careers after this film was released. Though I should point out, though, when it comes to these particular ladies, Halle Berry would later star in the film that was deemed the most worst film that came out that particular in 2003, and she won a Razzie for the worst acting award for Catwoman. It came out the very following year, which also came out the same year as a critically acclaimed Monsters Ball, which I've seen both of them. Monsters Ball was okay. I didn't think it was that bad. Catwoman is hilariously bad with Sharon Stone. Yep. And the film, basically, now let's talk about the film. The film starts out with the classic gunpowder sequence, and they had something particularly quite silly. They had a bullet to it, which, if you ever see Calvin Dice's review of this particular movie, he's like, oh crap! He's like, it's like Big Bond's shooting the audience, and this is the only gunpowder sequence done like this. I think it's hilarious the fact he did this, but yeah. And the film opens to surfing, because it came out the same year as Triple X. Despite the fact this director had nothing to do with Triple X at all. He did direct the sequel to Triple X. Triple X did the Union, but he directed the action for himself. And Bond goes to North Korea, poses as a diamond smuggler. I'm like, diamonds. They rip up diamonds forever. Yeah, this film rips up a lot of the James Bond films. Goes to this Marine base. He sees hovercraft and demilitarized zone. Oh yeah, and then somehow this guy uses some tech with his phone to find out that Bond is a assassin, even though he's supposed to be a spy. Okay. And then, like, all hell breaks loose, basically. This, of course, not like they find out that the Colonel Moon, his father, a big general, comes by and wants to hide these hovercraft. And so we have a big sort of chase sequence with hovercraft. Yes, hovercraft. And the Colonel proceeds to go over a waterfall, presuming to be dead. He's not really. So the General takes Bond to be tortured. And they will lead to the theme song in the movie performed by Madonna with a bunch of scorpions, and we see Bond's torture sequence. Now, luckily enough, none of the films after this ever did this at all, where you see Bond being tortured while the titles are going on. I'm like, what? Yes, I agree. This was an absolute stupid move on the part of the editing of the movie to do this. Yes. And then we have a prisoner exchange. Bond switched out with the guy named Mao, who is basically Colonel Moon's henchman, who's got diamonds in his face. I think his name is Wow. What was it? Zhao, yeah. Who's got diamonds in his face. By the way, he has diamonds in his face the whole film, and he never gets them removed. Never explain why. How they get there? The diamonds are explosive anything. Yep. And of course, apparently, so they have prisoner exchange, and, well, apparently M doesn't trust Bond anymore, despite the fact he didn't do anything wrong. And, well, he gets sort of relieved of duty, get take away his license to kill, so Bond just basically fakes dying, has a kiss life from a beautiful nurse, and he tells him, like, thanks for the kiss of life. And of course he swims off the British warship, swims straight to Hong Kong, and he proceeds to stroll right into basically a hotel wearing A shirt that's open, wearing baggy pants, basically, he's an escape patient, and a big, thick beard. Yeah, it's also explained when they come back in titles. He's been there for like 18 months. Yeah, 18 months. And of course, the hotel manager knows who Bond is, gets him a hotel room, also gets him change of clothes, and a razor to shave off that beard. Yeah, it's also the last time we see an electric shaver in the film series. They also have a man razor show up in Skyfall. Yep, and then of course he has masseuse and Bond suspects really going, shoots the closet mirror, and turns out, yeah, this is basically something about the Chinese agents, and it's like paying back for, well, killing Zhao killing 3 other agents, and then Bond goes back to London somehow. I would have thought though, being kicked out of the British Secret Service, that M would have froze his bank account, but nope, did not, and they go back and well. Goes to visit Q, and this awesome Q sequence, basically. So of all the gadgets, basically the jetpack from Thunderball, we see the alligator from Octopussy, the poison shoe from Fresh with Love, like very simple gadgets. And of course, he's given like 3 new gadgets. A ring that basically can destroy glass. Is a new watch. He says, I believe this is your 20th watch. He says, yep, that's a nod to 20th film. And then we show off his awesome car. The Vanquish. This car can turn invisible. Yes, the invisible car. Okay. It does come play later. And it's like, yeah, and of course when Bond, before he sees that it's invisible, he's like, oh yeah, I think he spent too much time down here. And of course he talks about his predecessor, Desmond Llewellyn's version. Oh yeah, he's much more confident in this version, not buffoon like he was in the last film. And of course, goes to M, clear for duty, no problem, despite the fact he really didn't do anything wrong. He followed orders. Yeah, there's a mole in the government. And of course, Amanda Frost, who works for, well, MI6. She's not one of 00, basically she's an MI6 agent. Goes with Bond to, well, first goes to a fencing club. Yes, a fencing club. Where you see a cameo by Madonna, where Bond just basically fixes his shirt, and then he and Gustav Graves, who's played by Toby Stevens, which it's implied this guy might be a Roger Moore fan because, well, his parachute has a Union Jack on it, and apparently he's been around for like 18 months, and no one bothered to investigate the fact that this guy just randomly shows up 18 months prior to present day, for some reason, no idea why. Bond meets him, has a sword fight with him. It's like, and of course, he says, it's like, pay, and of course, they had the thing, first one to bleed from torso, and they bow all over the place. This thing, slice up some statues, knocking out, slice up a newspaper, do a lot of damage, and then basically, Bond wins by slicing his chest, just so everyone won't kill him anyways, and Miranda's like, that's enough. Yep, and of course, apparently, Miranda acts as his assistant, somehow pays for all damages, and invites him to Iceland, to his ice hotel, which I've heard this place is real. Yes, it's real. So we can choose to... Also, I forgot to mention basically the whole thing of Cuba. Yeah, the whole thing with use Jinx. Okay, they meet in Cuba. This, of course, is after Bond finds out they might be in Cuba. This is before he goes back to London. And... he proceeds, look at Blackers, and we see this scene right here. Her come out of the water with an orange bikini, and of course have a knife at her side. Yeah, obvious reference to Ursula Andress, which they actually do the references in the next film as well. Though apparently Daniel Craig did not know anything about this. He just randomly comes out of the water, and he did not know it was a reference to Ursula Andress. They proceed to talk for a while with birds, and they proceed to have a very graphic sex scene. And they go to a clinic where they run into Zhao, who still have diamonds in his face, and of course she's there. They don't reveal exactly who she's worked for much later in the movie, and then they meet up her later again in Iceland, where Bond basically sort of has these two interact with these two women. Both these two women he would sleep with. One he slept before, the other one would sleep after this. So he just basically has a party. Of course, shows off his Icarus satellite, which apparently can light up areas of the planet that basically have no sun. I think it's like really bright. Bond, of course, has no sunglasses. And of course, after this, he proceeds to stick around. And then he and Miranda decide to make out. And then they go back to I think it's supposed to be her room, where they proceed to have sex. Yep, they have sex. They hop at the bed. Bond puts the gun on his pillow. Of course, she later takes the bullets out of his gun anyways, it's revealed later. And of course, Jinx wanders on the facility, gets captured. Of course, she's wearing this spy suit she wears. She gets taken. We have a mild reference to Goldfinger, where she looked like she's about to be sliced in half from her groin up with a laser. Though this time she's not basically going through gold this time. Yeah, he confronts, well, Gustav Graves, who's later to be Colonel Moon. And he has the line of, so you live to die another day. And of course, it's revealed that Miranda is a traitor. And of course, he goes on the floor. He proceeds to use his ring to destroy the floor. And apparently, they go through. And he goes to the bottom, frees Jinx. He's like, who do you work for? CIA, FBI? And she says, NSA. I'm thinking NSA. Yeah, seeing as years later, last I saw it was like a couple years ago. I'm thinking NSA. NSA has never worked with MI6 before. They're usually known for counterintelligence, not basically do spy missions. That's something the CIA is known for doing, not the NSA. Okay. And then they break out of there. And then, of course, she gets briefly trapped in another room where it fills with water. And Bond takes his car in. Of course, he also has a very good... Of course, I should point out that she actually drives a... Now, Zhao drives a Jaguar. She drives a Thunderbird. Yep, she drives a Thunderbird. You don't see this car ever again after this introducing it. Then we have something that I think a lot of people have really wanted to see. Like, two Gadget cars fight each other. You have a villain have one too. It's one of the best sequences of the whole film. And of course, Zhao gets defeated. Well, Bond, one of the few times uses Walter P. McKay in the movie, shoots down a chandelier. Of course, the place is flooded anyways. And he gets crushed by it. And of course, he finds Jinx, Fraser, and then they go straight to the demilitarized zone. And with M, yes, M is there for some reason, with Charles Robertson. Yes, why M is here? Not really explained, just that she just randomly shows up. And we see Jinx's boss. If I can find him here. Damien Falacchio, played by Michael Madsen. Yeah, this guy smokes. Yep, he smokes. And why he's here? He's Jinx's boss. Doesn't do anything. And of course, this is where the area where the beam of Icarus basically comes around. And you have the final battle on top of a plane, where Jinx proceeds to fight Miranda, kills her by stabbing her through the heart with a Bible. And of course, Bond has this epic fight with Gustav Graves dressed up as freaking RoboCop, who has a voltage of 100,000 volts. Like, is this 50,000? 100,000. Okay. And of course, he sees that meets reunites with his father. He says, "I don't know you." Thinks it's his son, and of course proceeds to shoot him. Apparently, takes command of his whole army. And this is, of course, after he activates Icarus and starts to demolish a bunch of the demilitarized zone. I'm thinking that even after the thing is shut down, what did the North Korean army basically march through? Not really. No, it's never really explained. He's killed by being thrown, and of course Bond has to fight with him. And of course, 2 parachutes. Oops. He knocks her out the window. Fight, and she goes right into the airplane engine. They crash. They take a helicopter with some diamonds in it. Also knock out his 3 fancy sports cars that he has in the plane. Bond and her go off to some island to have sex. And they celebrate the win. And of course, they have it where apparently it's very dangerous. Of course, apparently they decide to have sex with a bunch of diamonds around them. Of course, they put diamonds in Halle Berry's belly button. And that's how the film ends, with basically Bond bed the woman. Yeah, basically the second film in the row where the film ends with Bond's in bed with a woman. They actually not do this for the next era, because after this, of course, they also have some stuff going on with Moneypenny, where apparently I forgot to mention this for the Wolves Hunt. Now they had this awesome scene where Bond basically just gives her like a cigar, she throws in the garbage, and in this film apparently had this whole holographic thing where they show a couple times, show up twice in the movie, where there's a hostage thing, and well, yeah, there's a hostage situation in MI6. Of course, Bond says office. The only time it's first time you see Bond's office, first time since I imagine Secret Service. All he's doing is cleaning his gun. And then he basically goes to the guards, and Charles is killed. Then, of course, he has to shoot M. That's where Q comes in. Second time it's seen, basically, apparently, Moneypenny is basically forcing herself onto having Bond force stuff on her, and implied they have sex. And then the thing ends with sort of a joke like Moneypenny, and she just buttons up her shirt, and that's the last see of her. Because thanks to this film, Samantha Bond, John Cleese, and Pierce Brosnan all lead the Bond series. While in the case, also, Colin Salmon, who plays Charles, last appearance for him as well. The only person they retain is Judi Dench for the next few films. But this film is actually not that bad. I mean, it's a good celebration. It's an okay celebration for. It's a great thing to do for this film where they have lots of references to Doc No in here and a lot of other films. Like, I like the celebration of them here. The story is basically a ripoff of Diamonds Are Forever. It references to Goldfinger. A lot of really other good ones. I mean, you see reference here to GoldenEye. Yeah. This one was not bad per se, but I do agree it's the worst of the entire Pierce Brosnan films. But it's by far, for an exit for a Bond, it's the weakest one. Heck, Sean Connery's last special film he did, well, it was basically an okay ending to it, but it's actually a pretty good film. In the case of Dalton, it was actually License to Kill was a good film. Views to a Kill was a pretty good film as well. This is basically weak. It's not terrible per se, but it's kind of weak. But if I were to rate the 4 Pierce Brosnan movies, I would definitely go in. I would basically put in like the number that came out. Like, I would have number 1 be GoldenEye. I would actually have the second, third would be tied for second place. Basically, Tomorrow Dies and Walls Not, because both really good films. This one I put as the bottom, as the weakest of the whole Pierce Brosnan movies. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly it for this particular review. Now tomorrow I'm gonna do a review of the first of 4 films released for the Daniel Craig films, which is the current era we have right now. Yeah, this is the end, and just by sheer coincidence, this film came out 3 years after What Was Not Enough. I heard it was a bunch of legal stuff that was the reason why, and the rumor reason why Pierce Brosnan was moved as Bond because they thought he was getting too old for the role. Look at Daniel Craig; he's pushing 50. He's 50 now, and he's still Bond, and they call Pierce Brosnan old. Yeah, but the thing with him is he was originally supposed to be Bond with Living Daylights. But CBS decided to stick their nose and keep him on Remington Steele for a few years, despite the fact he did not want to be on the show. Yep. But yeah, good film nonetheless, in my opinion, but it's the weakest film of the Pierce Brosnan films. It's not as bad as, let's say, Thunderbolt. At least you can understand what the heck is going on, and there's very small number of characters in the movie, unlike, let's say, Thunderbolt, which has way too many characters. Barely remember who they are. But yeah, this is a good film. And so, yeah, that's particularly it for this particular review. My next film I'm going to review soon will be a review of the newest chapter of My Hero Academia, okay? Do this next review. Bye.